can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, today I want to talk about Toneri, and a lot of you guys have actually been asking about Toneri in the past couple of days, and honestly I truly believe that Toneri could possibly make a return in Boruto extremely quickly. Now this right here isn't necessarily something that I think is probably going to happen, but I do think that this right here is something that can happen. A Toneri arc, in my personal opinion, would probably be like directly right after the current thing that we are in the Boruto manga. By the way, if you guys aren't necessarily caught up with the Boruto manga, you guys aren't necessarily trying to be spoiled, this isn't the video for you, because I'm going to be talking about some upcoming events with the manga and current events with the manga. But regardless, with the Toneri thing, it all stems from Code. One of the things that we do understand that Code wants is revenge. The other thing that he wants is to actually fulfill the Otsutsuki Will. And the way to actually carry out that Otsutsuki Will, he has to either sacrifice Boruto or sacrifice Kawaki. Now, Boruto, in the last chapter, it seems like he may actually be dead. Now, this idea doesn't necessarily hinge on the fact that Boruto has to be dead. I'm going to explain that a little bit later on. But also, Boruto is dead, and Kawaki right now is kind of in like a relationship that he doesn't even really know that he's in. But Ida, which is a completely other character in the Kado organization, essentially casted a spell on Code, which Code now is actually like quote unquote in love with Ida. And Ida herself actually likes Kawaki. Because Ida likes Kawaki and Code loves Ida, Code is most likely not necessarily going to harm Kawaki that much. This right here is just the ability of Ida. She has Code under her spell. So if Boruto is actually dead, the Otsutsuki Will that Code wanted to carry out is completely kaput. The only other way that Code can actually carry out the Otsutsuki Will is by finding another Otsutsuki member. And the other Otsutsuki member that we do know of that happens to be in the vicinity is Toneri Otsutsuki. Now at this very moment, Toneri Otsutsuki, he's on the moon, and he's also sealed. From that sealing, some people can actually argue that he's dead, some people can argue that he's not necessarily dead, some people may argue that he needs to be unsealed. I personally believe that he needs to be unsealed, but of course, for this theory to actually be alive, he has to be alive. But obviously then, Code would then look to unseal Toneri and then feed Toneri to a 10-tail so he could then carry out the Otsutsuki Will and actually get the chakra fruit from the god tree. We don't need to get into that too much, but that right there is essentially the basis of this idea. Now I did bring up the fact that Boruto didn't necessarily have to be dead for this to actually come through to fruition. One of the most important things that I definitely do have to point out is that Boruto and Kawaki right now, they are very different from what they were prior to the current arc in the manga. Prior to the current arc in the manga, you could have made a very good case that Code would have been able to beat Naruto in a 1v1, Sasuke in a 1v1, and even Boruto and Kawaki in a 2v1. Right now, it's not really looking that way. Boruto, when he was controlling the Karma Seal by himself, it would be a losing battle for Code to try to go and infiltrate the Hidden Leaf Village for a character, or for two characters, that we know for a fact he's probably not necessarily going to actually be able to beat. If Boruto stays alive and retains his Karma Seal, that would probably mean that either one, Momoshiki is no longer there because Boruto already died, or either two, Boruto kind of faked his death and Boruto is still able to be taken over by Momoshiki at any given moment. Which means that Code is probably not necessarily going to try to take Boruto and Kawaki logically if he does not necessarily lift his limiters. But there is one other person, as I said, Toneri, which is probably weaker than Boruto, weaker than Kawaki, weaker than Code, and Code could potentially feed him to the 10-tails, essentially him carrying out the Otsutsuki Will. Now, here's the thing, and here's where the arc comes in. It would essentially be a race where Toneri won, and also a race to unseal Toneri. I think this right here is going to be a very important idea for multiple reasons. The first thing is, of course, preventing Code from carrying out the Otsutsuki Will. Number two, Toneri is going to be unsealed. One of the things that we've been wishing for a very long time to happen is that Toneri will be unsealed and he'd actually train Boruto to master his Jougan. Now, of course, the Jougan might pop up in the next chapter because we understand that Boruto is dead. A very popular theory is that the Jougan is probably going to save him from actually dying and save him from Momoshiki. We have absolutely no idea. But hypothetically, if Toneri is actually unsealed and Boruto, Naruto, Sasuke, or Kawaki get to him first and actually save him from Code, there is a very big possibility that Toneri will then try to train Boruto with his Jougan. This right here would be absolutely amazing, since this right here would essentially be prior to the time skip, and a lot of people do believe that Boruto's probably going to learn a lot more about his Jougan over the time skip. So plot wise, it kind of makes sense. Now I definitely do want to talk about some of the possible holes that I do see in this theory. The first thing is that Code could potentially lift his limiter, and this right here essentially stems from the situation that we are in right now. Code right now has a couple of portals on the outskirts of the Hidden Leaf Village. Right now, currently, they're about 40 kilometers away from the Hidden Leaf Village. Code himself can go to the Hidden Leaf Village within a blink of an eye, and Naruto and the rest would have to try to catch up to Code while Code is already inside the hidden leaf village. The only way that Code can actually lift his limiter, which is going to make him extremely powerful, he's going to have to get to Amato, which is in the hidden leaf village. And as we know right now, Amato isn't necessarily being guarded by anybody top tier that we know of. Now, there is a very big possibility that Sasuke is somewhere close to the hidden leaf village, but we don't necessarily know that for sure. Hypothetically, if Code actually does get his limiters lifted, this right here could potentially mean that he could actually genuinely try to go at Kawaki or Boruto 1v1 again and potentially try to take either one of them. By the way, I think for that to be a legitimate hold, Boruto would have to be alive, because hypothetically, if Boruto is dead, he can't really take Kawaki. And again, we went over why he can't really take Kawaki. So again, he'd still be trying to find out how to unseal Toneri. But this right here is honestly a very good idea, in my personal opinion, for the Boruto rise to actually do. One of the things that we have been talking about for a very long time is having a good Otsutsuki member on our side. Now, we understand that Boruto and Kawaki, they're quote-unquote Otsutsuki members, but they're not necessarily genuine Otsutsuki members to where they were raised to be Otsutsuki members. And of course, they were raised by multiple other Otsutsuki members. Toneri himself was raised on the moon, part of Hamada, part of the actual main branch of the Otsutsuki, and I personally believe that he has a wealth of information that he could potentially give not only Boruto and Kawaki during training, but also to Naruto about the Otsutsuki clan. And I personally believe that right there could potentially even be more helpful in deciphering if Amato is really a good guy or a bad guy. But let me know what you guys think about this idea in the comment section below. I personally think it's a very good theory, and honestly, entertainment wise, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys would probably want to see an arc like this, a race for Toneri, a race to unseal Toneri, I should say. But it's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.